So, Letter from an Unknown Woman is about this guy gets a letter from a woman, and the letter has a lot of like information about how she was very obsessed with him, not in a creepy way, in a beautiful way. And she was like a very young girl obsessed with him, and he's this very famous piano player, and how they went on a couple of dates, but the guy really forgot about her, and there's a lot to do with each other. That it's a very one-sided relationship where the girl cares more than the guy does. And that's what makes it so interesting, is that she's trying to get his attention with this letter to show how negative things happened as a result of the man neglecting the woman, and not caring much about her, and remembering her when she tried to connect with her again, and all this type of stuff, and how she put so much energy into someone who wasn't giving the energy back, and how it affected her mentally. And it's a very tragic story at the end, and how what the neglect by the man does to her, and how like it really messes up with her mind and puts her in a bad direction, and she's trying to get a connection that another person doesn't want from her. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's a very sad movie, but I really like it. I really like the heart. You want things to go well so badly, but they don't. They really don't, and it's fucked up. It's really fucked up how I really wish things could have gone the right way, but they didn't. But here we go. Let's look at the comments. KB1010 comments, makes you realize that you shouldn't waste your time on people who aren't bothered about you. She chased him for years, yet she had a few weeks of fun with her. Yet he had a few weeks of fun with her and never bothered to return or even remember their weeks together. That's a true thing. He did not really care about her at all, and that's sad. Molly Pop says, this is an excellent movie with tremendously good acting. How sad it was, though. She especially left her son for him. Her husband was so good to her. Just a film, but a very good one. True that, motherfucker. I think many women, myself included, will go pining for old love years after they've forgotten us, or sadder still, years after we never meant that much to them in the first place. We long for the person they were, not the person they have actually become. Stefan may be a well-to-do, but he is also a shallow and dissolute, rather heartless. Lisa was always the one who loved them. He was the loved one, and if they were ever equal in affection for one another, it was so very brief and early on. That's the true thing. Cindy Hawkins. And this movie just has me thinking about a relationship I've been, where we were equal, me and this girl were equal in affection, but it was for a very brief amount of time and early on. So that's why I connect with this movie. It's like we've all, I don't know if all of you've had this experience, but there's an experience where you're like, you're with someone and everything's going so swell, but it really doesn't last. And when you're out of a relationship, when a relationship ends, it makes you realize how temporary everything is. And then you start to realize, like, stop giving a fuck about relationships. Or if you do, always go into them knowing it's going to be temporary. I know it's a rather hopeless way to look at things, but it makes you realize that you should only focus on the small moments as opposed to everything in the grandiose things. So it's a positive way. It's a positive and negative at the same time if you're going into a relationship like that. But that's just how I feel about that type of shit. Like, you know, things are temporary, but if you look at things that are temporary, it makes you, if you look at things in a temporary way, if you look at things thinking they will be temporary, then you'll appreciate small moments, because life is small, you know. And this movie is a good example of that the great moments are small, and people got to start looking at shit like that. Strange yet oddly the most romantic film. When you think romance typically involves a love affair between two people, though there are two. One has no recollection, and while the other has lived the love affair an entire lifespan. Beautiful and tragic. That comment comes from Jan G. Hell yeah. Yeah, this is a great fucking movie, and I get sad thinking about this shit. You know what I mean? Because like it's touching to me, very very touching to me, man. Very, and yeah, for sure. That letter from an unknown woman. Great fucking movie. Let's get two more comments. The masterpiece, the exquisite Joan Fontaine, brights in the principal role. The elegance of her acting, the sensitive portrait of a woman in love is a sufficient reason to enjoy this movie. I mean, yeah, that's an okay comment, but like, the main actress was fantastic. It's fucking great. Probably one of my favorite performances like ever, man. Like I already watched this like before, but I like rewatched it last night. And I watched half of it and then I fully watched it last night, but I started from the beginning. Well, if you only watch half of something and you want to rewatch it, then like you should just start from the beginning. Like, you know, don't be a bitch. Don't only watch like the second half of something when you might not even remember the first half. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Oh, this is a good comment. We're gonna finish it off. Miss Fontaine had transformative powers to portray the girl, the courtesan, the society wife. She also was transformed by a brilliant director who understood her romantic obsession, a true classic. That comment comes from Steve Hinnenkamp. That's a good fucking comment right there. And that's facts. You know what I mean? Like it's a good showcase of romantic obsession in a tragic fashion. And I fuck with this movie a lot. It's on YouTube. Just look up "Letter from an Unknown Woman" and you got it. Like, you know, and it's from those old like 50s movies where like the intro to the movie would have like an orchestra playing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, beautiful movie. And it's not a musical. You know, everybody thinks old movies think musical. It's not a musical. It's a real movie. It's in black and white, but if you don't like black and white movies, it's like saying you don't like reading. You know what I mean? Like, just watch. Okay, we get it. If you're in the mood for like a tragic romance, this is it. This is good for you. Now, that was a clip from the Commenting on Comments podcast, and this is an audio-only podcast released on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, most of the podcast platforms. Now, this is the full version is audio only. There's no full version on YouTube. You'll have to go to these podcast apps or websites to listen to the full thing. But that was a clip from it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching this clip from it. And also, please check out the full episode. Link below to or you could just Google or look up on any podcast app or website. Just look up Mike Media INC, and you got it.